Class, what is sine of t? 3/5 squared. I have cosine. Class, 3/5 squared is 9/25. It's a 2. Class, how do you make 1 a fraction? Over 1. To get a common denominator, I'm going to multiply by 25/25. So I get 25/25. So now I'm going to subtract. What do I get? Cosine of t squared equals 16/25. How do I get rid of the power of 2? We're going to take the square root. Cosine of t equals what? 4/5. Raise your hand if you got that. I think what you guys are generally stuck on is using all the different identities, right? You're going to just have to recognize them. Okay. Let me call in a student. I want you to tell me tangent of negative t, Aaron, is equal to what? Negative tangent t. Alright. Talk to your partner. I have tangent. I have cosine. I have sine. What can we use? Look at your identities. On the count of 3, class. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Quotient identity. What is it? Sine of t over cosine of t. So now I have sine of t is 3/5. Cosine of t is 4/5. So I have 3/5 divided by 4/5. And then I can just change my fraction sideways and simplify. 3/5 divided by 4/5. This turns into multiplication. Take the reciprocal of the second one. Cross cancel. You have tangent of negative t equals negative 3/4. So in this problem, we got to do a bunch of things. You have negative angle identities, we had cofunction identities, we had Pythagorean identity, and we had the quotient identity. We basically used all of them, didn't we? Except for the reciprocals. Given sine of t is 3/5, use cofunction identities and negative angle identities to evaluate each. Your temptation might be to draw triangles, as that's what we did in chapters 4a, and with the unit circle, but now we're using identities to do these, which means you're just using equations or formulas. Okay? So class, what identity do I figure? The negative angle identity. Hannah, tell us the negative angle identity for sine. Negative sine theta or negative sine t. There is a negative angle identity. So, I recognize that they've given me, think of it as like a puzzle. They've given you some puzzle pieces and you must use them. So here's my puzzle piece. Sine of t equals 3/5. In class, the opposite of 3/5. negative 3/5. Sine of negative t equals negative 3/5. Raise your hand if you got that. Okay. Partner B, tell partner A, what does this equal? What identity is it, and what does it equal? Fabrizio, what's the name of this identity? Co-function identities. And sine of pi over 2 minus t equals? Cosine of t. Raise your hand if you got that. Okay? Remember, if you get stuck, pi over 2 is what? 90 degrees, and if you're not sure about t, the variable, you can always change that to what? Theta or x or something like that. Does that make sense? Okay. We have cosine of t. Uh-oh. Let's think about this. All my clues up here. I don't have like a direct substitution. Talk to your partner, 15 seconds. How can we get a value for cosine if they've given us sine and we're trying to find cosine? Name the identity and what is the identity. Ready, set, go. How do I know that? You got to recognize, looking at this, that that's one of your identities. It's like football. You got to read the coverage. They're not going to tell you, "Hey, we're playing this defense." What's the name of the identity, and what is the identity? Some students were asking me, how do you know that this was the co-function identity? You actually need to look at it and identify it yourself. It won't tell you. My analogy is you're playing football, you're on the offense, the defense won't tell you what kind of defense they're playing. They don't whisper to you, hey, we're playing nickel time, back, whatever it is, right? You got to read it and identify it. Okay. Alexa, I need to find cosine. And I have sine. What identity can we use? She says the reciprocal identity. Thumbs up, thumbs down. Well, I have a question. What is the reciprocal identity of cosine? Okay, it's 1 over secant, which is correct. Do we have secant? Okay. So I'm probably not going to use the reciprocal identities. Any other identities you want to use? She says the Pythagorean identity. Thumbs up, thumbs down? Yes, the Pythagorean identity. Alexa, tell us the Pythagorean identity we're going to use. Well, again, if you don't, you can always change the variable. We're trying to find cosine, right? We have sine. So remember, sine t squared, these are synonymous. This is more algebra friendly. Class, what do we know about sine? 3/5. Okay. I'm going to pause here. explain to your partner what just happened here. You guys are going to finish question number 2 and also question number 4. Number 3 was redundant. Okay? 4 minutes. Right, set, go.